The strangest true crime stories are far from straightforward and often take years to get solved. Most true crime mysteries are solved using traditional crime scene investigation techniques, but these ones have the most unexpected endings possible. Number 5. On December 26, 2007, Tista Burwell went missing from Ladson, South Carolina, at just 20 years old, and she was last seen in the parking lot of the Northwood Shopping Mall on the day after Christmas. Tina, her mother, told crime scene investigators that she feared something bad had happened to Tista, to cause her to vanish without a trace. For the next 2 years, Tina remained dedicated to solving the crime mystery of her daughter's disappearance. She suspected Tista's boyfriend, 39-year-old David Kornorentz, had a long criminal record and was a fugitive from outstanding charges. In the winter of 2007, he went missing along with Tista. South Carolina police conducted more than a dozen interviews of known associates of both Tista and David and worked with forensic investigators to collect a DNA profile. The evidence suggested that Tista was still alive. David had a history of hiding from the law, and investigators believed she may have gone on the run with him. To get this mystery solved, Tina and a private investigator went to a hotel where they believed the two missing people could be found. When David and Tista were not there, the private investigator started asking people who worked at the hotel about what had happened to them, and an employee recognized the description they gave. Before they could get very far, they were told by police to stop asking around because there was potentially an active investigation. As the true story goes, criminal law enforcement agents were already gathering evidence in the area, and police were able to solve the mystery in early 2010. Instead of this becoming a kidnapping case, the pair were living a criminal lifestyle under false names near Miami, Florida, several hours south of where Tista was last seen. Both the missing people had criminal warrants for their arrest. Tina was shocked, heartbroken, and relieved that her missing daughter had been found alive. Most of all, she was angry her daughter had cut contact and disappeared. Tista was sentenced to 90 days in jail for forgery crimes, and David was sentenced to 1 year and 9 months for passing $6,500 in counterfeit bills. With the mystery solved, Tina eventually told reporters that she wasn't ready to see her daughter yet in an unexpected ending to an unbelievable story of true crime. Number 4. The strange but true crime mystery of Janice and Jerry Rice sounds like a horror story but is 100% real. The married couple with one young daughter and another on the way purchased their dream home in San Diego, California in 2011. Closing the deal when Janice was 9 months pregnant. Unknown to them, another woman named Kathy Rowe was planning one of the strangest true crime stories ever told. The mysterious woman named Kathy had visited more than 100 homes for sale over 2 years before finding one that could fulfill the serious medical needs of her daughter. If her story is true, then the realtor made a mistake in the agreement, and the house went to Janice and Jerry. However, other sources indicate she was simply outbid. Whatever the case, Kathy did not get the house, and when the young couple moved in, she was furious. Kathy began an increasingly relentless campaign of crime against the new homeowners to drive them out of the home, presumably to buy it for herself. Janice and Jerry soon received thousands of dollars of bills for magazine subscriptions and books they didn't order. Their house was relisted online, and potential buyers showed up in their yard even though they had no intention to sell. Neighbors' wives received Valentine's cards with suggestive messages and Jerry's name signed to them, and their mail was stopped at Christmas time, so they didn't receive any packages. The harassment was bizarre, but the couple did not suspect a true crime story was afoot until things escalated in 2 incidents that left them fearing for their safety. During the most unbelievable moments in this case, which has since been solved, Kathy made a Craigslist post inviting men to force their way into Janice's house to have their way with her. Men were now coming around her house at random, and they never felt safe. San Diego police began an active criminal investigation that continued for a full year before Kathy was identified and arrested. As part of her court defense, she tried to claim that she viewed her actions as pranks, but both Janice and Jerry argued that they must now attend counseling to cope with their experience and need legal compensation. In 2015, the true crime story came to an end when Kathy was sentenced to a 10-year restraining order from Janice and Jerry and their home. She's also under electronic surveillance and probation. Although she has publicly apologized for her criminal actions, it's likely the young family will never feel safe in their home again. Number 3. On July 23, 1980, began a mystery that would go decades without getting solved. Along the banks of the Stillaguamish River, and a half-mile from Interstate 5, a fisherman found human remains. Forensic investigators determined that it could be a crime scene. Evidence showed the unidentified person had passed away on land and went into the water for months. The missing man had no personal ID, but an examination showed that he'd likely been suffering from heart disease when he passed away. Despite the best efforts of crime scene investigators, the mystery seemed unsolvable. For decades, the John Doe case was known as Steely Doe and remained unsolved with other true crime mysteries in the region. In 2017, as part of this effort to renew old cold cases in Washington state, Steely Doe's DNA was resampled and sent for forensic testing. Crime scene detectives learned that he was likely between 45 and 60 when he passed away. Armed with these details, investigators began using online databases to conduct criminal investigations and rule out potential matches. For several years, no advancements were made in Steely Doe's case, until genetic genealogy was used to identify potential biological relatives of the unknown man. Starting from as far back as their fifth cousin, investigators were able to identify an individual by the name of Othaniel Philip Ames, who had gone missing in 1980 at 82 years old. He had never been formally reported missing, potentially due to his age or social isolation. Forensic investigators pushed forward and asked Othaniel's granddaughter to provide a DNA sample for testing. On September 29, 2022, authorities announced that the samples were a match. With the mystery case solved decades later, Othaniel Philip Ames was finally given back his name. Number 2. In 2009, Frank Calabrese Sr., a member of the Chicago outfit Mafia, was sentenced to serve life in prison for taking 14 lives. He was ordered to pay more than $4 million in restitution to the remaining family. But in what would become a true crime story within a true crime story, he devised a scheme not to pay a cent. In prison, Frank built up a relationship with a priest named Father Klein and told him about a rare and valuable 250-year-old Stradivarius violin at his house that was worth more than $20 million. He argued that instead of letting law enforcement agents sell it and get all of the money, the priest should get the violin from his house and split the millions. In 2011, Frank passed a note to Father Klein through the food slot in his cell. On it were directions to the violin's hiding place at one of Frank's summer homes in Wisconsin. Little did they know that while inventorying the house before auction and searching for evidence, crime scene investigators had discovered a certificate of value indicating the violin's true worth was much less than $20 million. The details of how Father Klein got caught were never released to the public, and it remains an unsolved mystery. If one version of the story is true, then the event of the crime was supposed to happen sometime after the house went up for sale. Father Klein and some of John's Mafia men were going to steal the violin while taking a tour of Frank's house, when something unexpected happened to their plans, ending in an arrest. At his trial in 2015, Father Klein shocked witnesses when he entered the courtroom and calmly announced that he was ready to plead guilty for his offense. He was sentenced to 1 day in prison, as well as supervised release and 200 hours of community service. The ultimate location of the violin itself, as well as its authenticity, remains an unsolved true crime mystery. Number 1. In 1945, a young Icelandic woman named Ragna fell in love with an American GI named Larry Gavitt. Esther and Larry married and moved to his hometown of Portland, Oregon in February of 1946. When Esther got to Portland, the strange but true story of a bizarre crime began. She didn't write home much, even to her sister Dagny. She sent her family 2 letters begging them to forgive her and hinting at a potential domestic situation at home. Esther was able to divorce her husband, who'd put her in the hospital. While she was recovering, he placed their 2 children in a home where they were ultimately adopted out to other people. She was last seen in 1952, and foul play was suspected in her criminal case. For decades, the true story behind the strange crime mystery remained unsolved. Esther's sister Dagny and her family in Iceland searched for her and her children. Like in so many other true crime mysteries, DNA evidence and the internet held all the answers. In August of 2012, Dagny searched Esther's date of birth in a database of deceased social security number holders. Esther's information came back to a woman named Ragna E. Vickers, born in France to parents John and Christina. Although some of the information was wrong, enough was correct that Dagny suspected she'd solved the mystery and found her long-lost sister. She soon learned her missing sister had passed away in 2002, but through Facebook, she spoke with Esther's granddaughter, Christiana Le Master, who told the strange but true story and solved the mystery behind what had happened. Sometime in the 1950s, Esther, now going by Ragna, met and married a Navy sailor named Arthur Vickers. The pair had 3 children and settled outside of Birmingham, Alabama in 1964. Esther changed her name and became a naturalized US citizen. She did not talk about her past or the 2 children she'd left behind in Oregon. Her other daughters did not learn about them until they were adults. Esther told her Alabama family that when she was 18, she'd married a not nice man who was a soldier from Oregon. She got a divorce, but his family tricked her into giving up the children. That's all she would ever say about his crimes until she passed away at age 75. In 2012, Dagny reunited with her sister's American family, finally solving the mystery of the young bride's disappearance once and for all. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.